Hello everyone and welcome along to Cornflake's Crib, your home of Rugby Challenge 2, but we are splitting things up today. I am joined by a very special guest, TheScottishCannon. How are you going?
Yeah, good. How are you, Cornflake?
I am good, thanks. Right, we're joining together. If you've been tuning into the channel, you'll notice that we are having a Q&A, which will be out today. A lot of you have been asking about it. It has been one of the most anticipated things we've been doing lately anyway. So we are going to crack into that, but first a few things we'll go over. We'll be splitting this video into a couple of halves, so one will be on my channel, one will be on the Scottish Cannon's channel, so go and check his video out after you watch this one and see both sides of all our questions. We have an absolute pile of questions, about 70 or so altogether, so stick around and check them all out because there's some super questions in there. Another thing before we get started, I would like to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I just cracked 2,000 today, this morning it was, I think, and it is awesome. Thank you all so much for the support, and thank you all for your questions as well. Support's awesome to get all these questions and see how we get on. So, is that all covered? You happy with that?
Yes, congrats just from me as well. Congrats on
I just about forgot to mention it. But no, it's great. It's 2,000 more than I thought I'd ever get. So, right. Are we ready to get into this? If I'll start, if
Let's
you're
go.
happy with that. Right, I've got question number one. I'm going to go with Twitter for a start. And I have one from Corey Morrison. His Twitter handle is @Morrison005, if you want to go and check him out. He asks, how long have you been into rugby? And are you in, or previously been in, a local team?
Alright, so I'll get us started. I've been into rugby since I started playing rugby when I was 3 years old. I was introduced in Hong Kong, I think. I started playing rugby in Hong Kong. Rugby wasn't big in Hong Kong at all 15 years ago. But yeah, it's been good, and you know, I've now played. Well, I used to play. I played for 13 years, and then I got injured, so I'm now a ref. But I used to play for my school and my local club as well. So yeah.
Geez, you got quite the repertoire of rugby there.
Yes, I have.
How did you get started in Hong Kong, out of interest?
Oh, just, you know, my parents lived there, so...
So you lived in Hong Kong?
Yes, I have. I've lived all over.
That would have been interesting.
Yes.
That's another question for another time.
Yes, it is.
As for me, I've watched rugby and played for forever back in school, very much into it, watched it all weekend, played it every day at school, but into the school teams. But when I left school, I got a job on Saturdays, which has really killed the rugby. I played cricket quite a lot as well and killed that, and really gave it away when I started working on Saturdays, and haven't been back since. But still, always been a big fan, always watched a lot, and yeah, been into it forever. As long as I can remember, I'd always watch the free-to-air rugby back in the day on, Channel 3 in New Zealand it was, I think, back in the day. It's a long time ago, but it's always been in my life, not my family's though. None of them liked it. But yeah, that's me for rugby.
All right, yeah, that's good. Let's move on, I think. So I've got a question from my channel. We'll start with Tomo Jane 099, and his question is: if you could create a rugby ultimate team, who would be your first 3 picks and why? So what's your answer, Cornflake?
Oh, my first 3 picks. Is that current players right now?
Yes.
Okay, current players right now. You have to think about this. I have to be diplomatic as well. I can't just pick New Zealand players.
Of course not.
I would have Beauden Barrett. I'd definitely pick him. I think he's one of the best first fives going around these days, especially at his young age and everything. Thinking... It's pretty hard to pick this. I'm trying to think of some Northern Hemisphere players so people don't lynch me in the streets. Northern Hemisphere players. Goodness me. No, maybe Israel Folau. Although I'm not too fond of his defensive abilities, but he's such an attacking weapon. Him at the moment, and I'm going to be completely oblivious to Northern Hemisphere and say Julian Savea.
Oh, nice. Oh, of course you got to choose Xavier.
Yeah, I know. I've kind of picked players I didn't think I would, but there we go.
They're all on the back line, though, as well.
They are all backline players, yeah. And then you think
mine
of
are-
X Factors.
Mine are as well. So I'll start off with Israel Folau because I'm from Sydney and he's just a great product for the Waratahs. I do agree that his defense could be improved, but he's an absolutely attacking weapon and tied the record for most tries last Super Rugby season. So him, and I would choose Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown is a quality fullback, and I just really think he's a very consistent all-round player. I just love watching him play. And lastly, I would have to go with Julian Xavier as well. He's just the junior Jonah Lomu. So
Yeah, he is, yeah.
so he's a tank, and I think he would be one of the most rarest players if there was a Rugby Ultimate team in gaming. But
Yeah, it's interesting though on that question that how hard it is to think of a Northern Hemisphere player that is like in the top 3 kind of the world, like a player that completely stands out like a Johnny Wilkinson used to. There's not too many out there that are legitimately world's best. I guess you could say O'Driscoll used to be or something like that. But
I was about to say so.
Yeah, and there's not too many. It's kind of hard. Mike Brown though, he's a good player. That's not a bad
Mike
pick
Brown's
though. Yeah,
a very good player.
yeah. All right, question number 2 for me. This one is also from Twitter, and it asks, I've wanted to know for a long time now, so here it is. What Super Rugby team do you support? And that is from GUISC17. Don't know how you say that. Gusk. There we go.
Well, I'm obviously Super Rugby Waratahs, my local team. I'm from Sydney, so I've just been a Waratahs for ages. I've never liked any other Super Rugby team. Of course, I'd support any Australian team against international opposition, but Waratahs is my local team.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. Not for the Waratahs part, but locally. Definitely same for me. I'd be Highlanders, coming from down in Southland in New Zealand. Highlanders are my local side, support the Stags in the ITM Cup, Highlanders in Super Rugby, and of course the old mighty All Blacks for international stuff as well. So pretty basic stuff there.
Yeah, beautiful. So let's move on to another question. This one's from my comment section, and it's from Heads Up Rugby. And his question is, do you think Sam Burgess will make the England squad in time for the World Cup?
I knew he'd have something to do with Bath. He is an avid Bath fan. And I know he'll watch this, and he'll... Yeah, I know him too well. Burgess, he played for the Saxons, didn't he? And he was pretty average.
Yeah,
but,
he played pretty crap, actually.
Yeah, I think they'll still pick him. Just on reputation, I reckon. They'll put him in there somewhere they'll have to.
But do you think he's still in transition, though, or do you think he's...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
He'll be in transition to after the World Cup, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But they'll still take him.
Yeah, I actually know his mother quite well. I know Julie Burgess quite well, and she's saying that he's feeling very nervous and that he's getting a lot of crap from the media over there about his underperformances lately. But honestly, he's only played 10 good rugby games, like 10 full matches since rugby league. Honestly, I think he will be picked in the squad. I just don't know if he'll be. In the starting 23, starting 15 in the 23 squad. But I definitely think he might get a go against, those smaller teams like Romania or someone on the Tier 2 side. So I think he'll definitely be able to play in the World Cup. I just don't think he'll be, starting centre when, Manu Tuolangi and, 12 Trees and all that comes back from injury. But,
Yep. Couldn't agree with you more on that one. He'll be come semi-finals or something like that. If they make it that far, he'll be warming the seats up in the stands. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. Next question coming in from my Twitter. Still on my Twitter, I got from Pierre Valentine, and this is one you probably had as well. Could you invite the Cannon to do some commentary with you on at least a game? What do you reckon?
Well, if I could only see his screen, that's the only...
I know. I thought about that question and thought, well, it's kind of a bit more difficult, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if he actually, sent me the gameplay or something, we did audio over like this, we could. but it's quite difficult. He's actually on PC and I'm actually on PS4, so we can't actually play together either. So maybe if I actually download Steam and buy Rugby Challenge 2 and Rugby 15.
Oh, you can't do that anymore either.
Yeah.
It's like Rugby Challenge 2 has been pulled from Steam. Just for those who don't know, it's got the chop just before Rugby 15 came out because of licensing apparently.
Oh, okay.
So I'm guessing they got the same licenses on the game, so they both couldn't be retailed, which is crap, really.
Yeah, that's absolute rubbish.
I got so many people coming to me, where can I get a copy? It's
Yeah.
like, well, you just can't.
I mean, you could probably illegally download it somewhere, but
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that we condone that.
Yeah, but if we could, it definitely would. If I'm ever over in New Zealand in Invercargill or something, but but probably not at this stage. Maybe
It is very difficult to do. That's what a lot of people don't quite get.
Yeah.
It's having to see both sides of the screen as well, and
Yeah.
But it's something we'll think about. We'll give it that much.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for your question, Pierre, and let's move on. Okay, so next question is from Callan Winton, and he asks, "What are your thoughts on French club rugby? I think that they are ruining their international team. Comments? Why? Blah blah blah. What do you think?"
Well, he's got a point there. It is kind of a bit like the English Premier League, isn't it? In that respect, how they get so many international overseas players coming to play in their league.
Yeah.
So that is true to a point, but I don't think French rugby's not that weak. But they definitely could be better. I think maybe they need to put some guidelines or something like the EPL does, just so they don't threaten their own backyard too much for the sake of their club competition.
Yeah. I also think the problem with French rugby is I don't actually think they have a salary cap, and that's where in Super Rugby, there's always competition everywhere, apart from obviously the Rebels. But obviously Toulon is always gonna be up there, at the top of the tables, the biggest spending. We have Johnny Wilkinson, Matt Giddo, all those amazing players. Honestly, I'm not sure about their national side because they actually do get a good goal there. But I just think that French rugby is just becoming more of a money-making opportunity, and all these Southern Hemisphere teams players who aren't getting enough money in the Super Rugby are going over there, and due to some guidelines, won't be able to play for the national teams over here. So that either needs to change, or there needs to be a salary cap on the French rugby.
And weren't quite a few of their sides going bankrupt as well, or very close to bankruptcy, trying to compete with the bigger teams as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not ideal, really.
Yeah.
They need some sort of guideline there for the salaries, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Right, so next question. I think it's my turn, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is my turn. Right, on to my comments here. I've got one from Evander Sapsford, who wants to know, why couldn't Wellington win a game? I presume he's talking about the ITM Cup here, going back a few months. Wellington, if you follow the ITM Cup, do you?
No, well, we actually barely get it over here in Australia. I don't know if you get our national championship over there or not in this.
Sky had it, yeah.
Yeah, well, we get maybe 1 or 2 games, probably a week. I actually never get to catch it because I'm either watching the national championship or the Super Rugby or something. So, you probably have more comment on this conflict.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty difficult one, really. Wellington, just in case you didn't know, last season they were, on paper, like I say in a lot of games I do as well, on paper they have a fantastic side, and their side really was that good in the ITM Cup, but they just couldn't win. They couldn't win a single thing. I think they won their final game of the season and had every other match was a loss. It was almost unbelievable, the sort of record they had. But why they can't win, well, I'm afraid to say if I knew that, I'd probably be their coach.
Yeah.
And I'm not. So I can't answer that, but I guess it just comes down to how the other team plays together. The players, there's nothing wrong with the players, but I guess you can say that for Wellington sides just across the board, can't you, really? Like the Hurricanes, you know a bit more about the Hurricanes. Why don't they win more games? Like the side they have, why don't they win Super Rugby tournaments?
Is it the coach, or is it, is it just...
They've been through a few coaches in the last few seasons.
Yeah, so... honestly, I don't know. The Hurricanes used to be such a powerhouse as well, so... I just honestly, I don't know why they declined, but you don't know?
No, I was watching a video on the build-up to the Super Rugby season and going through the teams. They were talking about who they thought would be front runners, and they went to the Hurricanes and they said it's unbelievable how a side with Conrad Smith and Bowden Barrett and TJ Perenara and that haven't competed to a high level. It just doesn't make any sense, and well, they can't answer it, well, neither can I.
So I think we've all got a question mark as well there. So
definitely.